Imagine this. You wake up one morning, the sunlight streaming through your window, the world outside humming with its usual rhythm. You go about your day, brushing your teeth, sipping coffee, scrolling through your phone, feeling, for all intents and purposes, like yourself. But then, as you sit in a quiet moment, a thought creeps in, unbidden and unsettling. What if everything you believe about yourself is a lie? Not just a small lie like the stories you tell to make yourself look better in social situations, but a profound, all-encompassing deception. What if the person you think you are, your values, your memories, your very identity, is a carefully constructed illusion, a story you've been telling yourself for so long that you've forgotten it's fiction? This is not a hypothetical scenario. It's a psychological reality. Self-deception is not just a quirk of human nature. It's a fundamental feature of how we navigate the world. We lie to ourselves not because we are weak or foolish, but because the truth is often too painful, too complex, or too threatening to confront. And yet, this very act of deception, this refusal to see ourselves as we truly are, comes at a cost. It distorts our relationships, our decisions, and our understanding of reality. It keeps us trapped in cycles of behavior that we don't fully understand, let alone control. Consider this paradox. Human beings are uniquely capable of self-awareness, of reflecting on our own thoughts and actions. And yet, we are also uniquely capable of self-deception, of constructing elaborate narratives to avoid that very reflection. How can a species so intelligent, so capable of reason, be so adept at lying to itself? What does it say about us that we can hold two contradictory truths in our minds at once? That we are both the authors of our own stories and the victims of our own illusions? The great question then is this: why do we deceive ourselves? And more importantly, what happens when we stop? What happens when we peel back the layers of illusion and confront the raw, unfiltered truth of who we are? The answer is not simple, nor is it comforting. It requires us to confront the darkest corners of our psyche, to question the very foundations of our identity. It demands courage, humility, and a willingness to face the unknown. But it also offers the possibility of liberation, of breaking free from the stories that bind us and stepping into a more authentic, more fully realized version of ourselves. Think about the last time you made a decision that, deep down, you knew was wrong. Maybe you stayed in a relationship that was toxic, or pursued a career that didn't align with your values. At the time, you probably told yourself a story to justify your choice. You convinced yourself that it was the right thing to do, that it would all work out in the end. But looking back, you can see the truth. You were lying to yourself. You were avoiding the pain of confronting a difficult reality, and in doing so, you trapped yourself in a cycle of self-deception. Now, imagine what would have happened if you had faced the truth head-on. Imagine the pain, the discomfort, the fear that would have come with that realization. But also imagine the freedom, the clarity, the authenticity, the sense of purpose that comes from living in alignment with your true self. This is the promise of confronting self-deception, not an easy life, but a real one. Not a life free from pain, but a life free from illusion. As we delve deeper into the psychology of self-deception, we will explore the hidden forces that drive us to lie to ourselves, the unseen consequences of those lies, and the radical steps we can take to break free. This is not just an intellectual exercise. It's a journey into the heart of what it means to be human. It's a call to confront the stories we tell ourselves and to rewrite them in a way that reflects our deepest truths. Are you ready to take that first step? The journey begins here, in the quiet moments of introspection, in the spaces between our thoughts. It begins with a single, unsettling question. What if everything you believe about yourself is a lie? And it ends, if it ever ends, with a profound and transformative realization that the truth, no matter how painful, is always worth facing. Because only by facing the truth can we truly be free. To understand self-deception, we must first confront its origins. Why do we, as rational beings, so often choose illusion over truth? The answer lies in the intricate interplay between our psychological needs and the philosophical underpinnings of human existence. Self-deception is not a bug in the system. It is a feature, a survival mechanism honed by evolution and shaped by the complexities of modern life. At its core, self-deception arises from a fundamental tension, the conflict between our desire for truth and our need for psychological comfort. Truth, while noble, is often harsh. It demands that we confront our limitations, our failures, and our mortality. It forces us to reckon with the uncertainty and chaos of existence. For many, this is too much to bear. And so, we construct narratives, stories that soften the edges of reality, that make the unbearable seem manageable. These narratives are not lies in the traditional sense. They are distortions, half-truths, and omissions that allow us to maintain a sense of coherence and stability in a world that is anything but coherent or stable. Philosophers and psychologists have long grappled with this tension. Carl Jung, the pioneering Swiss psychiatrist, spoke of the shadow, the hidden, unconscious parts of ourselves that we refuse to acknowledge. According to Jung, the shadow is not inherently evil or bad. It is simply the parts of ourselves that we have disowned, repressed, or denied. We do this because these parts of ourselves are often at odds with the image we wish to project to the world. But in denying our shadow, we give it power. It lurks beneath the surface, influencing our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in ways we don't fully understand. Self-deception, then, is a way of keeping the shadow at bay, a way of maintaining the illusion that we are in control. Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher, took this idea even further. He argued that self-deception is not just a personal failing but a cultural one. In his view, modern society is built on a foundation of lies, lies about morality, religion, and human nature. These lies, which he called idols, serve to protect us from the terrifying reality of a godless, meaningless universe. But in doing so, they also prevent us from living authentically. Nietzsche's famous declaration, "God is dead," was not a celebration but a warning. Without the comforting illusions of religion and morality, we are forced to confront the void. And yet, he believed, this confrontation is necessary if we are to become who we truly are. Arthur Schopenhauer, another towering figure in philosophy, saw self-deception as a manifestation of the will, the blind, irrational force that drives all human behavior. According to Schopenhauer, the will is inherently selfish and destructive. It compels us to pursue our desires, even when those desires are harmful or self-defeating. Self-deception, in this view, is a way of rationalizing our actions, of convincing ourselves that we are acting in our own best interest when, in fact, we are slaves to our impulses. The only way to escape this cycle, Schopenhauer believed, is through self-awareness, through recognizing the will for what it is and transcending it through acts of compassion and self-denial. These philosophical insights are echoed in modern psychology. Cognitive dissonance theory, for example, explains how we resolve the discomfort of holding two conflicting beliefs by distorting or ignoring one of them. Confirmation bias shows how we seek out information that supports our existing beliefs while dismissing evidence that contradicts them. And the concept of the ego defense mechanisms, first introduced by Sigmund Freud, describes the various ways in which we protect ourselves from anxiety and guilt by distorting reality. These mechanisms, denial, repression, projection, and rationalization, are the tools of self-deception, the means by which we maintain our illusions. But why do we need these illusions? Why is the truth so difficult to bear? The answer lies in the nature of human consciousness. Unlike other animals, we are acutely aware of our own mortality. We know that our time is limited, that our existence is fragile, and that the universe is indifferent to our desires. This awareness, which the existentialist philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre called the anguish of freedom, is both a blessing and a curse. It allows us to dream, to create, to aspire to greatness, but it also fills us with dread, with a sense of insignificance and futility. Self-deception is a way of coping with this dread, a way of convincing ourselves that our lives have meaning, that we are in control, that we are special. And yet, as Viktor Frankl, the Holocaust survivor and founder of logotherapy, argued, meaning cannot be manufactured. It must be discovered. Frankl believed that even in the face of unimaginable suffering, we have the freedom to choose our attitude, to find meaning in our experiences. But this requires honesty, a willingness to confront the truth of our circumstances, no matter how painful. Self-deception, in this view, is not just a psychological defense. It is a spiritual obstacle, a barrier to true fulfillment. The hidden problem, then, is not just that we deceive ourselves, but that we are complicit in our own deception. We choose illusion over truth because the truth is too painful, too threatening, too destabilizing. But in doing so, we sacrifice something essential: our authenticity, our freedom, our ability to live fully and deeply. The question is not whether we can stop deceiving ourselves. It is whether we are willing to pay the price of truth. And as we will see, the consequences of this choice are far-reaching, shaping not just our individual lives but the very fabric of society. The journey into the heart of self-deception is not for the faint of heart. It requires us to confront the darkest parts of ourselves, to question the stories we tell ourselves, and to face the void with courage and humility. But it is only by doing so that we can begin to break free from the illusions that bind us and to step into the light of truth. Self-deception is not a victimless crime. Its consequences ripple outward, shaping not only our individual lives but the collective reality we inhabit. Like a virus, it spreads silently, infecting our relationships, our decisions, and our understanding of the world. It distorts our perception of reality, creating a gap between what is and what we believe to be. And in that gap, chaos thrives. On a personal level, self-deception erodes our sense of self. When we lie to ourselves, we fracture our identity. We become strangers to ourselves, living lives that are out of alignment with our true values and desires. This misalignment creates a pervasive sense of unease, a feeling that something is fundamentally wrong, even if we can't quite put our finger on it. We may achieve external success, wealth, status, admiration, but it feels hollow, meaningless. We are haunted by the nagging suspicion that we are living someone else's life, that we have betrayed ourselves in some profound and irreparable way. This internal dissonance manifests in a variety of ways. It can lead to chronic anxiety, depression, and a sense of existential emptiness. It can drive us to self-destructive behaviors, addiction, compulsive spending, toxic relationships, as we try to numb the pain of our own deception. It can even manifest physically as the stress of living a lie takes its toll on our bodies. The mind and body are not separate, they are deeply interconnected. And when the mind is at war with itself, the body bears the scars. But the consequences of self-deception extend far beyond the individual. They seep into our relationships, poisoning the connections that give our lives meaning. When we deceive ourselves, we inevitably deceive others. We present a false version of ourselves, one that is designed to elicit approval, admiration, or love. But this false self is a fragile construct, one that requires constant maintenance. We become trapped in a cycle of performance, always striving to uphold the illusion, always fearing that we will be exposed. This creates a barrier to genuine intimacy, to the kind of deep, authentic connection that comes from being truly seen and known. Worse still, Self-deception blinds us to the needs and feelings of others. When we are consumed by our own illusions, we lose the ability to empathize, to see the world through someone else's eyes. We become self-absorbed, trapped in our own narrative, unable to recognize the humanity of those around us. This is the root of so much conflict and misunderstanding in relationships. We project our own fears, insecurities, and desires onto others, distorting their actions and intentions to fit our own narrative. We see not the person in front of us, but the reflection of our own inner turmoil. On a societal level, the consequences of self-deception are even more profound. When entire groups of people, communities, nations, cultures, engage in collective self-deception, the results can be catastrophic. History is littered with examples of societies that have been brought to ruin by their refusal to confront reality. From the collapse of empires to the rise of totalitarian regimes, the pattern is always the same: a collective refusal to see the truth, followed by a descent into chaos and destruction. Consider, for example, the phenomenon of climate change denial. Despite overwhelming scientific evidence, many people continue to deny the reality of climate change, clinging to the illusion that it is a hoax or a natural cycle. This collective self-deception has dire consequences, delaying action and exacerbating the crisis. It is a stark reminder of the power of self-deception to shape not just individual lives, but the fate of the planet. Or consider the role of self-deception in perpetuating social inequalities. Racism, sexism, and other forms of discrimination are often rooted in collective illusions, false beliefs about the superiority or inferiority of certain groups. These illusions are maintained through a combination of cognitive biases, cultural conditioning, and outright denial. They allow those in power to justify their privilege, and those who are marginalized to internalize their oppression. Breaking free from these illusions requires a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths, to acknowledge the ways in which we have been complicit in perpetuating injustice. The unseen consequences of self-deception are not just external, they are also internal. They shape the way we think, the way we feel, the way we perceive reality. They create a feedback loop, reinforcing our illusions and making it increasingly difficult to see the truth. The more we deceive ourselves, the more we become trapped in a distorted version of reality, one that is increasingly disconnected from the world as it truly is. And yet, there is hope. The very fact that we are capable of self-deception means that we are also capable of self-awareness. We have the ability to question our beliefs, to challenge our assumptions, to seek out the truth. But this requires courage, the courage to face our own illusions, to confront the parts of ourselves that we have been avoiding, to embrace the uncertainty and discomfort that come with truth. The journey out of self-deception is not easy. It requires us to dismantle the stories we have been telling ourselves, to confront the pain and fear that we have been avoiding, to rebuild our sense of self from the ground up. But it is a journey worth taking, for only by confronting our illusions can we begin to live authentically, to connect deeply with others, to create a world that is grounded in truth rather than deception. The question is not whether we can escape self-deception, it is whether we are willing to face the consequences of doing so. For the truth, while painful, is also liberating. It offers us the chance to live fully, deeply, authentically. It offers us the chance to be free. Breaking free from self-deception is not a passive act. It is a rebellion. It requires a radical shift in perspective, a willingness to question everything you thought you knew about yourself and the world. It demands courage, humility, and an unflinching commitment to truth. But most of all, it requires action, not just in thought, but in deed. To escape the labyrinth of self-deception, you must be willing to tear down the walls you've built, to step into the unknown, and to rebuild your life on a foundation of honesty and authenticity. The first step in this rebellion is awareness. You must become a detective of your own mind, scrutinizing your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors for signs of deception. This is not easy. Self-deception is insidious precisely because it hides in plain sight. It masquerades as intuition, as common sense, as unquestionable truth. To uncover it, you must cultivate a habit of radical self-inquiry. Ask yourself, why do I believe what I believe? What evidence supports this belief? What evidence contradicts it? Am I holding on to this belief because it is true or because it makes me feel safe? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are necessary. They force you to confront the stories you've been telling yourself and to question their validity. One powerful tool for cultivating this awareness is mindfulness. By practicing mindfulness, paying attention to the present moment without judgment, you can begin to observe your thoughts and emotions as they arise, rather than being swept away by them. This creates a space between stimulus and response, a moment of clarity in which you can choose how to act. In this space, you can begin to see the patterns of self-deception that have been governing your life. You can notice when you are rationalizing, projecting, or denying, and you can choose to act differently. But awareness alone is not enough. To break free from self-deception, you must also take action. This means making choices that align with your values, even when they are difficult or uncomfortable. It means confronting the parts of yourself that you have been avoiding, the shadow, as Carl Jung called it. This is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing process. It requires you to continually challenge your assumptions, to seek out feedback from others, and to be willing to change your mind. One of the most effective ways to take action is to engage in what psychologists call values clarification. This involves identifying your core values, the principles that guide your life, and then aligning your actions with those values. For example, if you value honesty, you might make a commitment to speak truthfully, even when it is uncomfortable. If you value compassion, you might make a commitment to act with kindness, even when it is difficult. By aligning your actions with your values, you create a sense of integrity and authenticity that is antithetical to self-deception. Another powerful tool for breaking free from self-deception is journaling. Writing allows you to externalize your thoughts and emotions, to see them more clearly and objectively. It provides a space for reflection and self-inquiry, a place where you can confront your fears, your doubts, and your illusions. By journaling regularly, you can begin to identify the patterns of self-deception that have been governing your life and to develop strategies for overcoming them. But perhaps the most important step in breaking free from self-deception is to seek out the truth, no matter how painful or uncomfortable it may be. This means being willing to confront the parts of yourself that you have been avoiding, the fears, the insecurities, the regrets. It means being willing to listen to feedback from others, even when it is critical or difficult to hear. And it means being willing to change your mind, to admit when you are wrong, and to take responsibility for your actions. This process is not easy. It requires you to confront the darkest parts of yourself, to question the stories you've been telling yourself, and to face the void with courage and humility. But it is also profoundly liberating. By breaking free from self-deception, you reclaim your autonomy, your authenticity, and your ability to live fully and deeply. You step into the light of truth, and in doing so, you become the author of your own life. The rebellion against self-deception is not just a personal act. It is a radical act of defiance against the forces that seek to keep us trapped in illusion. It is a declaration of independence, a refusal to be governed by fear, by denial, by falsehood. And it is an invitation to yourself, to others, to the world, to live authentically, to connect deeply, and to create a reality that is grounded in truth. The journey out of self-deception is not easy, but it is worth it. For in the end, the truth is not just a destination, it is a way of being. It is a way of living that is free from illusion, free from fear, free from the constraints of the past. It is a way of living that is fully, deeply, authentically alive. And so, the question is not whether you can break free from self-deception. It is whether you are willing to take the first step. Are you ready to confront the stories you've been telling yourself? Are you ready to face the truth, no matter how painful or uncomfortable it may be? Are you ready to step into the light of authenticity and live the life you were meant to live? The choice is yours. The rebellion begins now. The ultimate truth about self-deception is this: it is not merely a psychological mechanism or a philosophical curiosity. It is a mirror. It reflects the deepest, most fundamental aspects of what it means to be human. To confront self-deception is to confront the essence of our existence, to grapple with the paradoxes that define us. We are creatures of both light and shadow, capable of extraordinary wisdom and profound folly. We are the authors of our own stories, yet we are also the prisoners of our own illusions. And in this tension, we find the key to our liberation. The final, most powerful realization is that self-deception is not the enemy, it is the teacher. It shows us where we are stuck, where we are afraid, where we are unwilling to grow. It reveals the gaps between who we are and who we aspire to be. And in doing so, it offers us the opportunity to bridge those gaps, to become more integrated, more whole, more authentic. The journey out of self-deception is not about eradicating our flaws or achieving some idealized version of ourselves. It is about embracing the full complexity of our humanity, the light and the shadow, the truth and the illusion, the courage and the fear. This realization is both humbling and empowering. It is humbling because it forces us to acknowledge that we are not as rational, as self-aware, or as in control as we like to believe. We are flawed, fragile, and deeply imperfect. But it is also empowering because it reminds us that we have the capacity for growth, for transformation, for transcendence. We are not doomed to live in illusion. We have the power to choose truth, even when it is difficult. And in that choice, we find our freedom. The ultimate truth is that self-deception is not a prison. It is a call to awakening. It is an invitation to question everything we thought we knew about ourselves and the world, to step into the unknown, and to discover what lies beyond the veil of illusion. This is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong journey. It requires us to continually confront our fears, to challenge our assumptions, and to seek out the truth, no matter how uncomfortable or unsettling it may be. But the reward for this journey is immeasurable. When we break free from self-deception, we step into a new way of being, one that is grounded in authenticity, integrity, and clarity. We become more present, more connected, more alive. We see the world not as we wish it to be, but as it truly is. And in that seeing, we find a deeper sense of meaning and purpose. This is the paradox of self-deception. It is both the obstacle and the path. It is the obstacle because it keeps us trapped in illusion, disconnected from ourselves and the world. But it is also the path because it shows us where we need to go, what we need to confront, and who we need to become. The journey out of self-deception is not about escaping reality. It is about embracing it, fully, deeply, and unflinchingly. And so, the ultimate truth is this: the only way out is through. There are no shortcuts, no easy answers, no quick fixes. The journey out of self-deception is a journey into the heart of what it means to be human. It is a journey of courage, of humility, of love. It is a journey that requires us to confront our deepest fears, to embrace our darkest shadows, and to step into the light of truth. But it is also a journey of profound beauty and transformation. For in the end, the truth is not just a destination, it is a way of being. It is a way of living that is free from illusion, free from fear, free from the constraints of the past. It is a way of living that is fully, deeply, authentically alive. And so the question is not whether you can break free from self-deception. It is whether you are willing to take the first step. Are you ready to confront the stories you've been telling yourself? Are you ready to face the truth, no matter how painful or uncomfortable it may be? Are you ready to step into the light of authenticity and live the life you were meant to live? The choice is yours. The journey begins now, and the ultimate truth awaits.